There's a generation that did everything right. They studied hard, got the degrees, showed up early, stayed late, said yes to everything, and somehow still ended up exhausted, in debt, and quietly wondering if this is all there is. If you're a millennial, born somewhere between 1981 and 1996, there's a good chance you know exactly what that feels like. Not the dramatic burnout you see in movies, the quiet kind. The kind where you're functioning perfectly on the outside, but running on empty somewhere nobody can see. And today, we're going to explore the psychology behind millennials, the burnout generation. Here's the thing. What millennials are experiencing isn't laziness, weakness, or entitlement, no matter how many times that word gets thrown around. It has a name. Psychologists call it chronic stress accumulation, and your nervous system has been carrying it for decades. Unlike a single traumatic event, this kind of stress builds slowly, quietly, over years of pressure that never fully lets up. Think about your average Tuesday. You wake up already behind. There are emails from last night, student loan notifications, a to-do list that multiplied while you slept, and somewhere in the background, a vague sense that you should also be working on your side hustle, going to the gym, eating clean, and being present. Your brain isn't broken, it's just been running a marathon while being told it's only a warm-up. And that's where it gets interesting. Psychologist Herbert Freudenberger first described burnout in 1974, but researcher Christina Maslach gave it the framework we still use today. She identified three core dimensions: emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and a reduced sense of personal accomplishment. What's striking is that millennials score higher across all three categories than any previous generation studied. And the reason isn't personal failure, it's structural. Millennials entered adulthood during the 2008 financial crisis, graduated into a job market that had collapsed, and were handed the bill for an economy they didn't break. Imagine training your entire life for a race, showing up on the day and being told the finish line moved, but keep running. That's not a motivation problem, that's a system problem, and your exhaustion is the most rational response to an irrational situation. But here's something most people don't talk about. The burnout millennials carry isn't just professional, it's emotional, it's relational, it runs deeper than overwork. Many millennials grew up in households where worth was tied to achievement: gold stars for grades, praise for being responsible, identity built around being the good student, the helpful child, the one who had it together. So somewhere along the way, rest started to feel like failure, doing nothing started to feel dangerous, and the inability to switch off, that constant low-grade anxiety even on weekends, that isn't a personality quirk. That's what happens when your nervous system learns early that stillness is unsafe. The shadow side of this is painful, because even when millennials get a break, they often can't enjoy it. The vacation gets ruined by guilt, the free Saturday fills itself with productivity. The brain that learned to survive through doing doesn't know how to simply be. This shows up everywhere in relationships too. A millennial partner who seems distracted, emotionally unavailable after a long week, or who cancels plans not because they don't care, but because they genuinely have nothing left to give. That's not a character flaw. That's a depleted nervous system trying to protect itself. And the loneliness that comes with that is real, because burnout is isolating. You're surrounded by people and still feel completely alone in what you're carrying. You stop reaching out because explaining it feels like too much effort. You start performing okayness so convincingly that even the people closest to you don't know how close to the edge you actually are. If this sounds familiar, know that it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you've been carrying something heavy for a very long time without enough support. Society looks at millennials and sees a generation that can't commit, can't cope, and can't stop complaining, but psychology tells a different story. What looks like fragility is actually hypersensitivity born from chronic overload. What looks like avoidance is a nervous system in self-preservation mode. What looks like entitlement is a generation that was promised a contract: work hard, get rewarded, and is rightfully angry that the contract was never honored. The most radical thing a millennial can do right now isn't grind harder, it's rest without guilt. It's recognize that your value was never supposed to live in your productivity. You are not a machine that fell behind. You are a human being who was asked to carry too much for too long with too little. And the fact that you're still here, still trying, still searching for meaning in all of it, that's not weakness. That's remarkable. If this hit close to home, subscribe, because this channel exists for exactly this kind of conversation. Tell me in the comments, what does your burnout actually feel like day to day? Not the textbook version, the real one. Next, we're going to explore the psychology of people who always put others first, and why that selflessness often has a much darker root than anyone realizes.